Future-Proof is sponsored by Concordia Dental Healthcare, expert care you can trust.
Hello and welcome back from the break. You're watching Sarah Hopwood with the business television programmes Future-Proof, and I'm delighted to say that I have Danny in the studio. And in the first half we heard quite a lot about him, from his upbringing in Romania, a communist regime, and how he got into was it boxing, wrestling, and Danny, help me out. What was it you did in childhood? It was when you went
freestyle wrestling.
That's right, freestyle wrestling. And then you got into, was it the self-defense, and you've just now got the British title for
Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.
Fantastic. And you're easily found on the Facebook, aren't you?
Yes, Danny.Vlad, V-L-A-D.
Yeah.
So facebook.com/Danny.Vlad.
Yeah. And also, when we started the programme, we talked about your business. So if you can remind us again what your business is, and once you've said kind of who you are and actually what you do, can you then go straight on to talk about how perhaps your early years and maybe the boxing and what have you, how that has helped you, if you like, in your business to build it up? And
yeah, so my business is pretty much based on the passion that I always had since I was a kid. Electronics. I used to fix electronics, build radio, cassette players back in the day, audio systems as well. So that has been always. And then when software came about, then I just switched to software, from hardware to software. So I've always loved building something, and the software IT allowed me to build websites and mobile apps. So my business is DV Mobile Solutions, where we build mobile apps for iPhone and Android devices.
And has your sports and your competitiveness in the sporting arena helped you at all in setting up your own business? Because without being funny, there's lots of people who do what you do.
Yeah.
So what have you taken, if you like, from your winning and sporting?
So one thing that you've taken and becomes part of you, if you do sports since you're a kid and you do it at the highest level as much as you can, is you're taking risks. In wrestling, you're pretty much on your own, so it's not so much of a team sport, it's more your individual sport, and anything that can go wrong is you to blame. So you have to take a lot of risks, there's a lot of pressure on you, and you just have to go for it. So with that, being in that kind of environment, it really gave me the strength to start something on my own. So I started self-employed initially, and that come with the risk. I know what it's like when you do self-employed. When you know, people get excited about the freedom, but at the same time they realize just to constantly get clients it's hard work, and many quit, and I understand that. So me being involved in a sport where determination and commitment all the way through has helped me start my business. So I've been going on for more than 10 years now. I started in the States. When I lived in the States, that's when I started, and then I've been in the UK almost 10 years, so I carry on that one. And I think that the commitment, the competitive spirit as well, because I always want to be on top of what's going on, up to date, and just even to when I work for my clients, I want them the best. I want them to be the best and champions in what I do. So that's the technology and the mindset I have to always strive for the best.
I've sat in on his consultation times, and that definitely comes across. But this programme is about future-proofing, and it's about inspiring and empowering people to future-proof moving forward, whatever their role is, whether they're a business owner or employee. And you've talked about risk, you know, and the word change is huge, you know, and we are dealing more now with change than we've ever had to. And when you've related to wanting to become a self-employed person, you are making a change, and the first sign of real change is risk. If you haven't got any sense of risk, then I would suggest, in my humble opinion, you're not actually addressing change, because the first sign of real change is risk. And I think looking forwards, we need to have, and you talked about the resilience, and also championing. My purpose on this planet is about championing hope and wanting to be a champion, but also championing other people. I know you have a daughter, and she'll be thinking about her future. There could be somebody watching now. What little gems of thoughts or direction could you give anybody watching about their future who maybe wants to get into competitive sports? Maybe they're looking for somebody to spot them and nurture them, and that person who said to you, I'm going to make you a champion one day, he probably wasn't even there when you made champion, but his words were ringing in your head. What advice would you give somebody?
Yeah, so talking about my coach, he actually fulfilled his promise. Yeah. So I was a Romanian national champion, and I was part of the Romanian national team, competing, almost training for the Olympics and going forward, and then revolution came. So he made it. He fulfilled his promise, and that mindset. So what I would recommend, when I finished the high school, I thought I would never go back to school. I was so fed up with the system, and probably because of my background and how everything unfolded for me. But I thought I would never go back, and then slowly I was encouraged through my coach as well that no, the education part hasn't stopped. It's an ongoing system. So one thing that I would suggest someone like my daughter is the personal development. Always educate yourself. Never put down the guard. Never put down the books. You always have to educate yourself and develop. So that's one thing. And the second thing will be you have to take risk. And if you know someone that is there for you, I think you have enough to take a leap of faith and then try things. I wouldn't recommend to risk when no one's around you to support you. At least there is always going to be one person at least. That's where coaching is very important. If you have a coach, if you have a father figure or a parent that can really support you in that, I think that's a safer way to take risk, and then knowing that someone's there to help you when things go wrong, because taking risk doesn't guarantee success necessarily, but with determination, with support, then you can achieve your goals.
Yes, it's calculated risk. And also, if you don't have that kind of mentoring figure around you in the family or what have you, then you can sometimes find them in community. So that could be anything from down the gym. And without being funny, that's often why some people, from a negative point of view, will join a gang or something like that, because they are looking for that endorsement.
So for me, that's a good point. For me, when the revolution came and I stopped wrestling, obviously my career has changed at that moment. I didn't have my coach next to me anymore. So that's when things happened in my life, when I became a Christian, and I had the community, the church, and then I had other Christians around me that allowed me to carry on my legacy pretty much, or develop myself and be a better person. And I think it's very important who you become through what you're doing eventually. Whether it's sports, whether it's business, is who you become at the end of the day, which really matters. Because you can be the strongest champion, you can be the top in the world, but if your character is messed up, if everything else, then you carry that in a business, carry in a lifestyle, it's not going to help you. So that's very, very important to have.
So true. And thoughts that come to me is always remember, when you're climbing a ladder, you'll meet the people that you pass going up, you'll meet them on your way down. So make sure that you have, like you say, the right character. And the other thing that's come to me too, we've talked about your coach being a fantastic mentor for you and a supporter. But I think the other thought that's come to me when we're thinking about future proofing is, if you're watching and you've kind of been there and you've done it and you kind of signing out the other end and what have you, then maybe part of this program and the way it might relate to you is maybe go and find somebody you can mentor, or maybe there's somebody in your community that is struggling and you don't necessarily want to get involved with what they're doing, so you might be time poor, but just by going up to them and saying, and I've actually done it at Tesco's, I've done it when I've been shopping and I've looked at somebody and said, do you know what, I've been in this queue a long time and I've been watching you have an incredible work ethic. You are working hard, you're not pacing against your other tills around you, and I said, I can tell you now, you are the sort of character that I would want to employ. And I'm hoping when I drop that might just boost them in some way, and maybe that's a role for somebody as well, Danny, fantastic. Thank you so much for coming
Thank
on.
you.
If
Thank
people
you so
want to
much.
find you, what's your website?
So they can find me at dvmobi.co.uk. So D as in Daniel, V as in Vlad, mobi.co.uk.
Yeah.
So that's my website for the app. Soon we're gonna rebrand and we're gonna extend a bit more, but that's the easiest way to find me at the moment.
Fantastic. And I love, and I want to leave it with his words as well. Be prepared to take risk. Yes, it's a calculated risk, and look for support around you. But also, some people will not take risks till it's safe to go, and they never go.
Yes.
They never go. So motion is absolutely key to success and actually change and moving into something better. And also check your character and your values and your why. Bless you, Danny. Thank you very much indeed.
Much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Have a great week.